Take a look. What other Buddhist organization has lectures on the Dharma every single day? Only the Buddhist lecture hall. Attending the daily lectures on Buddha Dharma is just drawing near to those with wisdom. Not just anyone can come to the Buddhist lecture hall. Some people come, sit for just a minute, and then run off. They can't sit comfortably, and they can't stand comfortably. The moment they get here, their hearts start racing and they get nervous. Why? Because their karmic obstacles are too heavy. To draw near to those with wisdom is to remove with a covering of stupidity. Single-mindedly casting out confusion, this removes the covering of greed. Why? If you have no greed, your mind will not become confused. If you have thoughts of greed, your mind will become confused and unclear. When your mind is unclear, you will do muddled things. Greed for what? First of all, there is greed for wealth. At this point, we should each return the light and reverse the illumination. What is meant by return the light and reverse the illumination? Each of you ask yourselves. Do I have thoughts of greed? Am I covered with greed? Am I greedy for other people's money? Because of greed for money, would I lie? Would I kill? Would I steal? Would I do things I clearly know are wrong simply out of greed? Am I greedy for money even in my dreams? So and so has a lot of money. How can I get my hands on it? Obsesses. You recite the Buddha's name sincerely, but your greed for money is even more sincere. You recite the Buddha's name in the morning a few times and then forget all about it. I've done quite enough recitation. Nobody is as good as me. No one can compare to me. No one recites the Buddha's name as much as I do. But what about your avarice? You never forget it. Never. No matter what, I'm going to get my hands on that person's money. You exert all your influence and exhaust your shrewd intellect to treat other people out of their money. As you scheme for money, your heart grows confused. Your brains reel with scrambled thoughts. What? Oh, what method can I use? Will that one work? No? Well then, what about this one? That one? I've got to have a plan. I've got to have a plan. They never know what happened. All their schemes and plans confuse them. To cast out confusion is to cast off the covering of greed. Greed covers your basic wisdom, your self-nature's bright light. If you can get rid of your greed, remove the covering of greed, your self-nature's bright light will manifest. Collecting their thoughts in the mountain forest. Thought refers to the thoughts present in our minds. People have a great spiritual penetration when it comes to thought. In one thought, they can run as far as 18,000 miles. Shakyamuni Buddha emitted the white-hair mark light which shone across 18,000 worlds to the east. In a single thought, we can think ourselves 18,000 worlds to the east. However, there's a great deal of difference between our thoughts and the Buddha's light. The Buddha can emit light that reaches that far, but we can only daydream. We can't send forth light, but our thoughts do have that much strength. In one thought, we are in heaven. In one thought, we are in hell. In one thought, we are among the human beings. It all happens in a thought. The heavens and the hells are created in a thought. Even the realization of Buddhahood is accomplished in a single thought. If you become a bodhisattva, it's also an inner thought. If you become an arhat, it's also inner thought. When the thought matures, you can actualize your spiritual penetrations and transformations. Now the thoughts are collected. They are not allowed to run. They are all gathered back to the original self-nature. It's like using a magnet on your thoughts so that they can't run off. This method is one of using poison to fight poison. When people take poison, another kind of poison may be used to counteract the poison they have taken. Your collecting of thoughts is also a kind of poison. The very best thing would be, as I said earlier, to have no thought at all. If you have no thought, you have no production, no extinction. No thought is the most wonderful of states. If you can be without thought as you dwell there in the mountains and forests, your inherent greatly enlightened Buddha nature will naturally be perfected and will naturally manifest. But now one is unable to be without thought, and so the thoughts are gathered together. This collecting together also removes the covering of sleep. Keeping away from frivolity removes the covering of inconstancy. Separating from stupid followers removes the covering of anger. Drawing near to those with wisdom removes the covering of stupidity. Single-mindedly casting out confusion removes the covering of greed. Collecting one's thoughts in the mountain forests removes the covering of the sleep demon. When you cultivate, the sleep demon can be very fierce. If you tend to be lazy, the sleep demon loves to encourage you. He says, "It's all right. It's all right. Rest a bit, sleep some more." And he tells you to sleep, and you think sleep is not bad. Sleep is really fine. There's nothing better than sleep. Why is the most comfortable state? That is because you don't know anything at all, so you don't have false thinking either. But when you sleep, you sometimes dream. You may dream a very common dream, which causes you not to cultivate. What dream is that? Very strange. When men who cultivate the way sleep, they very often dream about women. When women who cultivate the way sleep, they very often dream about men. Why? Because although you say, "I keep the precepts, I cultivate, I don't want to break the precepts," the demon king wants you to break them. When you sleep, he comes and transforms into all kinds of forms to disturb your samadhi power. When you are awake, you may have samadhi power, but when you are asleep, it fails you. You are moved by the state, you have no precept power, and your samadhi power runs off. You have no idea at all where your wisdom power went. You can't find any of them. The three powers of precept, samadhi, and wisdom are non-existent. Your support topples over, and you are turned by the demonic state. This is the covering of sleep. So, sleep can also cover the self-nature's light. If you cultivate, you can remove the five coverings gradually, collecting one's thoughts in the mountains and forests for tens of thousands of millions of years. Life after life, Bodhisattvas like to stay in the mountains to cultivate. If in this life I don't become enlightened, they resolve, then in my next life I will continue to dwell here on the mountain and cultivate here for trillions of years. In quest of the way of the Buddha. Why do I wish to dwell in the mountains? Why do I wish to be pure? Because I seek the Buddha way. Sutra. Bodhisattvas there are seen who with fine food and drink and with 100 kinds of broths and herbs make offerings to the Buddha and the Sangha, who with fine robes and superior garments of value in the millions, or with invaluable robes, make offerings to the Buddha and the Sangha, who with 1,000,000 different kinds of dwellings of precious sandalwood, and with much fine bedding, make offerings to the Buddha and the Sangha, who with gardens and groves, clear and pure, with flowers and fruits in abundance, with flowing springs and bathing ponds, make offerings to the Buddha and the Sangha, Offerings such as these, of many kinds, extremely fine, do they give with joy untiring, seeking for the utmost way. Commentary. Bodhisattvas, there are seen who with fine food and drink and with fine vegetarian delicacies, 100 kinds of broths and herbs, make offerings to the Buddha and the Sangha. The fine food and drink and the broths and herbs make up 2 of the offerings of the triple jewel, those of food and drink. You may make offerings to the triple jewel of food and drink, or of broths and herbs, making some fine medicines, so that when those who have left home get sick, they can use them to cure their illness. There are 4 kinds of offerings: food and drink, clothing, bedding, and medicine. The clothing given here is no ordinary clothing. They are fine robes and superior garments, very expensive clothing of value in the millions, or within venerable robes. These clothes are absolutely priceless. Make offerings to the Buddha and the Sangha. They are given to the Buddha and the Sangha. And with 1,000,000 different kinds of dwellings of precious sandalwood, and with much fine bedding, make offerings to the Buddha and the Sangha. With the gardens and groves, clear and pure, with flowers and fruits in abundance, with flowing springs and bathing ponds, make offerings to the Buddha and the Sangha. All these offerings of many different kinds are given to the triple jewel, seeking for the utmost way, the Buddha way. Sutra. There are bodhisattvas who speak of still extinctions Dharma, with various instructions teaching living beings without number. Seen are bodhisattvas who contemplate all Dharma's nature as lacking the mark of duality, like an empty space. Also seen are Buddha's disciples, whose minds have no attachments and who use this wondrous wisdom, seeking for the utmost way. Commentary. There are bodhisattvas who made Jaya Bodhisattva, continues speaking to Manjushri Bodhisattva, speak of still extinctions Dharma. The Dharma they teach is that of still extinction. What is the Dharma of still extinction? It is all Dharmas are empty appearances. It means the mark of still extinction of all Dharmas cannot be expressed in words. The Dharma of still extinction cannot be spoken. It has no appearance and it has no color. It is not green, yellow, red, white, or black. It isn't long or short, square or round. It is the Dharma of still extinction, with various instructions teaching. They use all manner of devices and teaching methods to cause living beings to turn their backs on the dust and unite with the enlightenment, lead living beings to clear understanding and awakening, help beings awaken to the fact that all involvement with the dust of worldly affairs is a form of suffering. Seen are bodhisattvas who contemplate all Dharma's nature. They look at the nature of all Dharmas as lacking the mark of duality. Not only are they not marked by duality, they don't even have one mark. If they don't have even one mark, ultimately, what are they like? Like empty space. Take a look at empty space. What is contained in it? There's nothing in it at all, no forms and no appearances. But all the forms and appearances are not separate from empty space. All the forms and appearances are enclosed within empty space. Would you say there is empty space in the earth? Dig a foot of earth out of the ground and you will have 1 foot of empty space. If you dig out 10 feet, you'll have 10 feet of empty space. Before you dug the hole, was the place there or not? The space was there all the time. So, although forms and shapes are found in space, They cannot envelop empty space, and empty space envelopes them. Even when there are material forms, empty space is still there. Empty space is also present in places where there are no material shapes. Well, if it's present, then grab some and take a look at it. Oh, there's nothing there. You can't see it. If you try to taste empty space, it has no flavor. What color would you say empty space was? Empty space has no color. The real mark of all dharmas is also that way. It is just like space. So, if you understand the principle of empty space, you will understand the principle of the self-nature. Therefore, it is said, the self-nature is like empty space. It contains both the true and the false. Awaken, fathom the basic substance. In one understanding, understand all. The self-nature is just like an empty space. It contains both the true and the false. Within the self-nature, both the true emptiness and wonderful existence are found. True emptiness is just wonderful existence, and wonderful existence is just true emptiness. It is most certainly not the case that wonderful existence is to be found apart from true emptiness, nor is it the case that true emptiness is to be found apart from wonderful existence. The very true emptiness itself is wonderful existence, and wonderful existence itself is true emptiness. When the truth is not postulated, the false is basically empty. When existence and non-existence are both cast out, what is not empty has been made empty. The truth is also non-existent. What is the truth? To speak about the truth is just to trick people. What is the truth? What is the false? The false is also non-existent. If you talk about the false, you are also treating people. It's merely the case that within their hearts, living beings as common worldly creatures hold to a true and a false. When you arrive at the self-nature, however, it is like empty space. Empty space would never say, I am empty space. It has no ego, no self. If it said, I am empty space, then it wouldn't be empty space. It would turn into an existing entity. So, how could it remain empty space? Emptiness has no self at all. Your own self-natures are also like that. Oh, you say, is there nothing at all? That's really a shame, nothing whatever. Don't be afraid. When you have nothing at all, then you truly have. All the mountains, rivers, and the great earth, the forests and trees, and the myriad objects within the world system of 3,000 great thousand worlds, none of them are not yours. They are all yours. But you must truly have nothing at all. If you have even a hair's breadth of obstruction, then none of it counts as yours. Because you have that one little bit of obstruction, you cannot enjoy the possession of all those things. You have attachments and impediments. If you had no attachments or impediments, then you would truly have wealth and honor to the extreme, so that all of empty space and the entire Dharma realm would be included in your self-nature. Enlightened, you understand the basic substance of your self-nature. Then, in one understanding, you understand all. When you are clear about one thing, then you are clear about everything. There is nothing you do not comprehend, nothing you do not understand. You penetrate the three bodies, the four wisdoms, the five eyes, and the six spiritual penetrations. You don't have to look for them outside. They are the jewels within your own household. Hearing this, if you don't become greatly enlightened, you should at least have a minor enlightenment. Don't waste your time. Though I might speak for half a day, it's as if I hadn't spoken. If you don't listen, that's even more wonderful. I haven't spoken and you haven't heard. That's the genuine, miraculous prana wisdom. Also seen are Buddha's disciples whose minds have no attachments. How's that? Everything's quite all right. Everything's okay. This kind of non-attachment, however, is not easy to achieve. You must truly understand the way of obtaining the bright light of the self-nature in order to be unattached. But how does one obtain wisdom? It's just by being unattached. The non-attachment itself is wisdom. If you've a single bit of attachment, you won't have that wisdom. What wisdom? Doesn't it say right here in the text, who is this wondrous wisdom, seeking for the utmost way? This wondrous wisdom comes simply from your non-attachment. If you have attachments, you will not be able to have this subtle, wondrous wisdom. This wisdom arises from your non-attachment. So, you are wise. You should have no attachment. You should not think, I can't put this down and I can't give that up. If you can't put it down, then you won't have this wondrous wisdom. If you can put it down, your wondrous wisdom and intelligence will manifest. One of my disciples has said to me a number of times, no one's making offering to the triple jewel. So many people and only one of them has made offerings. No one else has given. When I heard that, I wanted to cry. Why did I want to cry? Because I was afraid that my 3 disciples were going to starve to death. What would we do then? So I wanted to cry. Just as I was about to burst into tears, it occurred to me, that's an attachment, and I didn't cry. I laughed. Why did I laugh? I thought, why, that's the very best thing that could possibly happen. If no one makes offerings, it will reveal whether or not you really want to cultivate the way. It will draw out and harden your spiritual skill. If you have spiritual powers and real samadhi power, then you can meditate and cultivate. When you can sit for 10 days straight, do you think there will be no offerings? No doubt they'd come from all over the country to make offerings to you. Why? Among Westerners, there are sages, people would cry. They can sit for 10 days, thus unmoving. Would you still fear that no one would make offerings to the triple jewel? There would be nothing to fear. On the other hand, you could also say that starving to death was the ultimate, the most glorious sacrifice. I left home for the sake of the Buddha's teaching. I do not take advantage of circumstances. I am going to sit here, and if no one makes offerings, I'm not going to go out and try to finagle them. If I starve to death, I will certainly get enlightened. It will be just like the bhikshu who held the precept against killing so purely that he refused to drink water which had bugs in it and consequently died of thirst. Because he was so sincere, the Buddha used his spiritual power to bring to where the Buddha was, and he met the Buddha even before his traveling companion who drank the water did. Although the Buddha has already entered Nirvana, you can still hear him speak the Dharma to you. Don't be nervous. So today it is publicly announced that the Sramanaras are not to have money. They may not have money in their hands.